At the center of the universe, at the border between the light and the dark, stands Castle Grayskull. For countless ages, the heroes of Grayskull have defended the universe against the forces of evil. Walk through the Hall of Living Pictures and learn the history and mystery of the Masters of the Universe. Dive deep into the mythology of Eternia, Etheria, and more. For those who know the stories of Grayskull will come the power. The power to be supreme. The power to be all-knowing. The power to be Legends of Grayskull.
Hello everybody and welcome to episode 11 and a half of Legends of Grayskull, the fan podcast where we discuss the history, the mystery, the magic, and mythology of He-Man, She-Ra, Eternia, Etheria, Primus, Norder, Masters of the Universe, Princess of Power, New Adventures, Old Adventures, Golden Books, Mini Comics, and DC Comics. I'm your host, Matthew Dooch. I'm here with Sean Scavarna. Sean, how are we doing today?
I just woke up. We've just had this discussion, but being a dad at 10 o'clock at night doing this, 3 hours of sleep last week a night, boy. So, yes, I am here, but I had a little nap just shortly before this, so yeah.
We are missing our early morning record time right about
it's
now.
Wearing on it. Yeah, quarantine is wearing on us even, so yeah.
Yes.
But hey,
we want to keep it. We want to keep it coming to all you guys. You guys have all supported us very much. So me and Sean were just talking about this. It's been great. All the feedback we've gotten, all the support we've gotten from the fan community, and we're gonna keep it going. We need this every week. You guys are enjoying it every week. So if we have to stay up till the Lord hours of the night, that's what we're gonna do. Because we're here today, we're going to discuss some comics. Sean, what are we discussing today?
We are talking issue 3 of the Masters of the Universe miniseries from DC Comics. Within these walls, Armageddon. With the, I said it last time we talked about it, but to me that cover is, let this be our final battle! Right. Basically. It still reminds me of that moment from the movie. So,
and we're already there in the first mini-series of the 80s for Masters of the Universe. We're already in this moment. Final battle.
Yeah. Sort of. You and I, before we started recording, it was kind of funny because when we got everything up and running, for the listeners, we both had this. So this is the 3rd issue. Yeah. Is this the same writer?
Yes. And it is. We'll start right there. So this is Within These Walls, Armageddon. The writer was once again Paul Kupperberg. We got George Tuska penciling this time. Robin Rodriguez inking. Ben Oda is the letterer. Anthony Tollin is the colorist. And Dave Manek is still the editor. So the majority of the crew is still the same. From the previous issue, new penciler and new colorist.
New inker and new colorist. Yeah, Tuska's been the penciler the whole time. But we lost us Alfredo Alcala as of last issue, which I'm still, I mentioned this before we started too, I'm still debating if he didn't have assists of some sort last issue, because the artwork we're getting into in this issue has a feel similar to the last issue at points, because Alcala had a little more of his handiwork to the inks in the first and some of the second, but this one is starting to feel a little more traditionally like DC Marvel like studio feel to me. So there is a little less of that Alcala line work and the way he would handle his inks and brushes and pens. So, but we'll go from there.
It's a better transition though than what some current comics have done when people have taken over for other people mid-issue. So
yeah, no, I won't fight you there. I won't fight you. I know that bugged you and stuff. And I mean, even looking back at the last issue, I'm actually wondering if Klaus Janson did some of the inks or something, because there's definitely some like sketchier ink work that makes me think of like the covers even. I don't know. That'd be interesting to find out if there was somebody giving assists to the last issue. But we're sticking to this one, and this one is it's like story wise, the last two stories were kind of concise. They were there was a lot more to those stories. Like we were saying, it's like, those two issues were like meals unto themselves compared to the typical comic books where there's the slow decompression kind of storytelling. Both issues up to this point have been quite chock full of story and events. Right. And I mean, heck, last issue we had 3 battles in one issue. Mm-hmm. You don't get that often anymore.
Yeah, and it felt jam-packed. There was a beginning, a middle, and an end, and it was a full, complete story within the main story.
Yep. Oh, it's exploding over at Matt's house, at least. So,
something. So we got the classic cover here. He-Man and Skeletor going at it, each with a half of the power sword. And then we jump right back in. We jump in with Zodak here, racing through nowhere. Which I was trying to remember. I actually meant to run upstairs, but all my multiverse comics are upstairs now. Did they call it Nowhere in the multiverse when Anti-Eternia met the Cosmic Enforcers there? Do you remember?
I want to say yes.
Yeah, I think so too. I think this is where he pulled it from.
I want to say it was a nod to these, or I guess maybe this is just... that's the thing. My knowledge of Zodak is pretty lacking. So the idea, I know Zodak is more of a character that he'll just randomly show up,
right,
and help to balance the scales of good and evil. But I never knew where he existed. I thought he always just was like flying through space. But I'm guessing that's where the Cosmic Enforcers are stationed in Nowhere. I'm guessing. Right. And now I feel really dumb. And if you know more than I do, feel free to tell me, because. I'm definitely not well versed on him, to be honest. So
yeah, he's one of those characters. When you're a kid, he's really boring, and and he's one of those characters who did not have a clear story from toy to comic to cartoon. He's supposed to be like an evil bounty hunter to begin with, but even now here, I mean, again, this is published in February of 1983. So this comic is at the beginning of the line here, and even so, we're already pushing back past those first 4 mini comics. We're creating new story. We got the secret identity of Adam, and we've got Zodak pretty much into his Cosmic Enforcer role here already. I mean, this is how quick Mattel changed this lineup here so quickly as they were trying to figure out where all these pieces went together. But yeah, I just took it as Nowhere is like this place, like between the dimensions, kind of like a fast pass, a wormhole, if you will, so he can travel through the cosmos quicker. And he gives a bit of backstory here to himself as well. This is probably one of the best, explanations of Zodak that we get out of the 80s. And, he says he's constantly riding through the spaceways. He's got to observe, but he can't act a lot of times. But now something terrible is about to happen, and he has to intervene. And somewhere in here it even said, he's heading to Eternia, even though that's not even his home. So he's not even from Eternia in this. He's got to look at the whole universe and try and help where he has to,
Yeah, and basically, the way the wording here sounds, it's basically he's talking about, he's worried Skeletor is going to triumph, and what he observes next is the destruction of Eternia and the annihilation of the universe. And the way that sounds to me almost is like he's seen what Skeletor has done elsewhere, and he didn't take action fast enough, or he let those events unfold. So now here we are in this current state where he knows what's going to happen. He knows what's up. He's going to try to do something about it this time around. And I like that about him. It's for him being a neutral character, and in Filmation, I know you've mentioned a couple times he has that very calm, even tone. But here it gives him a bit of a race against time sort of a vibe that I always like that ticking clock aspect in storytelling. So it definitely makes him less unemotional. It gives him that like, oh crap kind of vibe about like his mission now. So I think that's fun.
Here he definitely feels like once he decides to take action, he's on the side of the good guys. Like he will actively fight against an evil once he decides it's time. Very different than the Filmation, for sure. But he does still have a space chair here. So that's...
if there was ever an embodiment of a dad in the 80s while the kids ran around like He-Man and Skeletor fighting each other, it would be Zodak in the freaking lazy boy cosmic chair flying around and just going, I'm only going to intervene if I know your mother's going to yell at me to intervene in you guys. I've never ever equated that to him until now, and the more I think about it, it's like, hey kids, here's the best figure in your collection, Zodak. I hope he reminds you of your father.
Oh, that's great.
And then I go down the rabbit hole. You ever watch the Goldbergs?
Of course, yes.
The dad, the minute he comes home, he pulls his pants off and he's in his tidy whities in his comfy chair. I mean, my God, it's perfect.
It is. That's I'm never gonna look at Zodak the same way again.
See, I can't unsee it either now that we're talking about it. So anyway, now we'll move along from there because I don't need to think about tidy whities and Zodak at the moment. That's nightmare fuel for another hour or two away. So, let's get into the fighting part. Fighty as
fighty. That's it. So next page here, a nice 2-page battle spread. Lots of ghosts and goblins and demons and everything you can imagine. And just a quick recap of who everybody is: Stratos, He-Man, Man-at-Arms, Teela, Battle-Cat. Just catching everybody up. Who's who? Once again, these are the first comics to come out here in the 80s, so they're trying to remind the readers, hey, these are these guys. Remember them from last issue.
Basically, the one thing they did in this artistically that already is like one of those it drives me nuts because I know they do it in the early Golden books as well. Is this is not helping me with the damn tidy whitey thing analogy, but every one of the heroes has striped underwear instead of fur loincloths, and that just makes me go like, stop. It's a stupid little thing, but when I see it just, I can't not see it in this. It's like the one that I like the most is Teela because she's got that sass and she's shooting that pistol and it's like, you go get him, kid. I love that.
No,
but,
absolutely.
Yeah,
there's
definitely.
But I see what you're saying about the loincloths. They're really not drawn the way they should be.
They're like ribbed or something. It's really creeping me out. So I need to move away from that. And then we have Skeletor's face.
They're being really lazy on him.
Oh my God! Like Skeletor's face in this. It's like the guy went to the dentist and he was fitted for something and they didn't get the right fitting or something for his teeth. It's like it's not Skeletor in any way I've seen him until this, and I'm like, I'm glad this is the only time we see him like this, to be honest. So
right.
I hate bashing artists' work. I'm gonna flat out say that. I know these people have done this and they were professional artists creating this, but when I see this version of Skeletor versus what we've already seen in the last 2 issues, it's like, That wasn't what I was told. I want to see the original one that looked actually like spooky and ghoulish here. I don't want to see. I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
Those teeth, man.
Yeah,
that's
like
killing
a primate skull with.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the one thing I do want to say I really like here, and then I'm good at it. We can move on if you want. Then I like what they say about He-Man. I like that they say He-Man, champion of a world in service to she they call the goddess, the greatest warrior ever known on a world where heroes are bred. It's like, can that be any more hair on your chest about this character? That's just cool. It's like
the man.
Talk about alpha male. Yeah,
absolutely.
It's very alpha male of He-Man to be described this way. So that's really cool.
Oh yeah, I agree. And I just love all the demons on this page, especially these two guys by He-Man here, like that wing guy and then that little zombie in the bottom corner there. Like those guys are just awesome.
Yeah, the wing guy especially, he would have made a good classics figure.
Oh, absolutely. any of these monsters throughout this whole mini series would have made awesome figures. Like,
yeah,
just release a 5-pack of those guys. But then we get on to the next page here where we actually get some story going. Zodak dispatches all of the demons by himself. And here we get some of the explanation we've been looking for. He-Man's kind of a jerk to him. Here you got a little quick to temper, a little feistier He-Man in this story because he calls him out. He's like, "Oh, now you show up, Zodak. Where were you when Skeletor was abducting the goddess?"
Mm-hmm.
And Zodak fires right back at him. He's like, "Do not judge me by matters you don't understand. I am Zodak. I do what I must, no more, no less." So he's
that
like
is
I
a
said,
father.
Yeah, he's not like I say, he's not quite the Filmation. Like I have to keep the balance. He's like I got to play my part and that's it. The rest of it I got to stay out of. So I know it's a slight variation, but I think it's a big distinction here between the two characters. So.
It opens up the gates to the actual universe that they're talking about being masters of, which I think is cool because it's like He-Man is like a part of the chessboard that's happening here, and He-Man's looking at it as this is an important thing, and I like the idea. Zodak's kind of like, yeah, you're one of 80 some things I'm dealing with right now. I'm doing this. This is the most that you're going to get out of me for this or whatever. So
yeah. Yeah, and Teela, she's full sass. She's giving it to him too,
She calls him Mister.
Yeah, I'm not impressed, Mister. Not while Skeletor is running free to gain power over Eternia. And then Zodak points out here for them. He's like same thing He-Man's been wondering the whole series. Why is Skeletor, where are these demons coming from? Why is Skeletor sending these demons to stop you on the quest he sent you on? And he takes the talismans here. And then he still won't even tell him. He still won't even tell him who's behind the demons and everything. I had to laugh at that when I was reading it earlier. I'm like, why aren't you telling them, But us as the readers finally get to find out, and it is Damon who, if you recall back in issue 2, this was the wizard that He-Man fought to save the village in the jungle.
Yeah. That was his first time Adam turned into He-Man.
Right.
In the whole thing, so a poignant day, but yeah. So now we know who's behind this, and when we see him, what do you think? The actual design of the guy.
That's the thing, and that's what bugs me to this day. It bugged me the first time I read this years ago when I picked it up. It's why did they use a completely different look for Damon when He-Man fought him in issue 2?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He was this horned demon sorcerer looking guy.
Mm-hmm.
And now he's just, he looks like Gargamel from the Smurfs.
I was gonna say he looks like a Popeye villain or something.
Popeye, yeah, that's a good one. He's just he's a stereotypical human sorcerer. I don't know. His design does nothing for me. I would have rather seen that horn guy back from issue 2. You know.
Yeah.
And they don't say a reason why he's different. Is he supposed to be different? Did they mess up in the other issue? I've always wondered that, and I don't even have an answer. If it's been answered, I don't know it. But
yeah, I mean, even the bird and everything. There's this this Popeye thing going on with him. That's like he feels completely not of Masters, right. And that's kind of what. That's the beginning of my what the heck are they doing here, you know? And we'll keep going, but yeah. So we're beginning.
So we find, and I guess here's the thing for me. It's I'm probably gonna skip around a little bit because I'm not going. But basically, Damon's whole thing is that he doesn't want Skeletor to rule Eternia because he's not even of this world. He's from across the multiverse, and he's an interloper, and Damon's born on Eternia, and he deserves to rule. And it's basically the same argument we had with Merman in issue 2. So, yeah, that's.
It's like not compelling. We just did this. Yes, exactly.
We just did this. We just did this with Merman trying to stop Man-at-Arms, Teela, and Stratos underwater because he felt he should rule because he was Eternian born and not Skeletor. So now we got this generic-looking villain who's got the same motivation, and yeah. So, but we find out that Damon has orchestrate all this because wherever he's imprisoned here, he can see the power swords, but he can't access them.
It denied me by power superior to my own, he says.
Yeah, so he needs to draw Skeletor to him in order to be able to access these. Then bear with us here, okay? Because this plot thing gets a little weird from here on out. I'm just gonna warn everybody right now. It's gonna get a little confusing here.
Yeah.
But yeah, so then we jump back. So yeah, so Damon's there. I think I even said more than he said already. But basically, the power swords are within his sight. I don't know if he's trapped here or that just where he lives and the source or the god has put them there. It's never really clear.
I think the way I took it, and this is just me spitballing real quick, is I feel like he lives here. And he can see where they are using his magic because he's been like projecting and seeing the events with He-Man and everything else. But it's like he would probably be able to get to where they are if that magic wasn't so potent around them, protecting them. And it's just, it's driving him nuts. But I think he's not like between dimensions. He's just there on Eternia in this random hippie cave that he has. He looks like he follows the dead.
So they're not actually in the... See, because here it looks like they're actually in the cave with him, and that's how it reads to me too. But then later here, it says that they're actually in Grayskull, so it's... Yeah.
And either that or he's somehow found a way into Grayskull, which like I said, This is confusing, this whole part for me.
Yes, it is. I read it a few times. Maybe he is in Grayskull here. Maybe that's where... They don't really explain it well, honestly. It's just, he's trying to get basically he doesn't have enough power to get through this force field to the power sword, so he set all this elaborate stuff up to get Skeletor there so that they can combine their power and get to the power swords. So,
yeah.
But we'll jump back. There's more on that in a minute. We'll jump back with the heroes here. And Zodak's explaining that now that they have the talismans, they may go directly to the sword. It's the cheat code. It's the left, right, up, down, so that they can go right to the last level. And they say, well, yeah, but none of us know how to use it. And he's like, well, great, that's fine, because I do.
I'm useful.
So he uses them to open this portal to the sword. He gets Zor there so that they can lead them. He's sending Zor on another thing, and then he's sending the heroes to the sword. Here again, this is why I wondered why it was the same writer, because everything's so unclear here. It's really weird. But yeah, we got Zor going on a mission for Zodak, and then the heroes are there. He's opening a portal for them to go straight to the power swords. So, but he's not going to help them.
Yeah, of course not. after they've traded words and all that stuff, he's just like, you guys are jerks. I'm going to send you on your way.
Right. Yeah. So,
think you're not accompanying us? Yeah, right.
I dare not.
I dare not, my friend. At the very end, he's like calling Tila a woman and all this stuff. And then my friend, it's like Zodak and Stratos, stay tight.
Yeah.
But everybody else is like, you're jerks.
But yeah,
peace.
No, but Zodak did exactly what he said. He said, I will do exactly what I need to, no more, no less. He's like, I came here, I opened the portal for you, I'm done. I'm out. Have a great day. I am Union. It is my break time now. So.
I will be resting against this shovel for the rest of the day, waiting to see what happens.
Oh. So then we jump back to Skeletor. He's upset that the heroes are taking so long, and he's trying to figure out who has been messing with his plans here, who's been putting all these roadblocks up. And then he gets attacked by this cool little Cthulhu type demon-y thingy, tentacly.
Yeah.
Again, cool creatures all the way throughout. But the cool creatures alone are going to boost whatever rating I end up giving all this by like a solid point at least. Because they are awesome. So yeah, and so that's Damon. He sent this creature to attack Skeletor. Skeletor easily fights it off. And then we find out here that Skeletor and Damon have a past. We already knew that He-Man had fought Damon and defeated him, but Skeletor had fought him as well here, and he thought he had killed him, I take it. He says, I thought I had ended your threat when first I arrived upon this miserable plane. And Damon, he laughs. He says he's broken out. And same thing, he's saying, you're not going to rule this planet, I am. So they get into a fight. They both seem pretty evenly matched. Excuse me. And then as they're fighting, they disappear in a blast of magic here.
Leaving the goddess.
Yep. The cabin
which
is empty, save for the still lifeless form of the goddess.
Yeah.
Trying to lead you to believe that she's dead there, I take it. But, yeah.
I'm convinced, looking at the last couple pages, I'm convinced this artist, either Tuska or the inker, just loves huge teeth. Because Damon has
all the
it.
Skeletor
here. And then if you look at Grayskull's barely able to have 4 teeth in the fangs. And it's like, what the heck is happening here? Like, all of these people in this.
It's a weird perspective on Grayskull there. Like, they're cutting off, like, the bottom half of it. It's like there's a hill in front of Grayskull, and you can't see it all. It's really...
It's that, or it looks like it's like growing out of the land, which I know there are a couple scripts that kind of gave that vibe, and if they would have been the movie, and there were people not liking that either. But oh man, I'm glad we're doing this one, to be honest, because this is bracing us for some of these episodes and for some of these other things where we're going to be sitting here going, and the people that are listening to the audio are going to be like, what are they trying to say? So, like Lassie, is Timmy in the well kind of thing? Because on this one, like, when you look at some of these panels, it really is like, why did they do what they did here? And it's early in the line, it's early in the whole brand, I understand that, but I feel like the first 2 issues did have, it's almost like the artist didn't get to see the first 2 issues, and he's just going by, okay, this is the basic generality of what it is, draw that, you know, and but it's Tuska, and that's the thing that's kind of confusing the heck out of me. It's like, Tuska has been the artist from page 1, issue 1. How is this way then at the end of this, the 3-parter? Like,
shows
it's
you
so
quite
weird.
how much an inker can do to those pencils,
Oh,
like you said, like just like you said, the loincloths, like they're just going so heavy on those, like undetailed, or not heavy, I guess. Like, it's the same lines as always, but the way they're coloring them in just makes it look so much flatter. They're not trying to do the texture and all the little lines and everything, like they have been. And I look back, and they do a good job in the previous issues of really playing with the loincloth, the texture, But here it's they're just phoning it in.
There was genuinely that feeling of these are fur. Yep. They were actually like pelts of something. And here it literally looks like here's striped underwear on everybody, which it's not helping the cause for us as fans who we know it's not furry underwear because of the intention of just everybody's running around in their underwear. This is not helping them. That's all I have to say. But
I agree.
What really surprised me most is this shot of Grayskull that we have here on the page when Damon and Skeletor disappear. We get Man-E-Face showing up out of nowhere.
I'd forgotten about
nowhere.
That. Yeah.
There he is. In the last 2 panels of the page, he just out of nowhere, there he is.
Yep. And it says in the dialogue or the text block, he has no idea why he's here. But he's going to wait.
He has no idea why he's here.
Manny,
I love that.
I'll read it for our audio listeners, although I do recommend, and I meant to do this at the beginning, I do recommend if you're on the audio, go grab your copy or check out Vaults of Grayskull. I will drop the link down below again because they have all these on there. But yes, I'll read it for you guys. Man-E-Faces does not know what has drawn him to the bleak lands where the castle rests. Perhaps some innate sense of foreboding. Yet whatever be the cause, this Eternian knows he must stay where he is for now. The time will come when his part in what is to transpire is made clear. He will wait.
Okay. That for some reason, that whole bit, I'm like, out of nowhere, we got this Damon guy who we don't even know, and then Man-E-Face is out of nowhere. It's like, what the heck is happening here?
At least Man-E-Faces is a toy, though. But I'd forgotten that he was in this mini-series at all, and then he just kind of shows up there like, what's up?
Oh my god.
And then this shot's, even though Grayskull's still drawn oddly, this shot's cool. Like, the castle awakening, as they put it. Which is the moment where Damon and Skeletor teleported inside the castle. As lightning and energy fills the air. The unwholesome stench of brimstone signals that there is sorcery underfoot. and the castle like reaches out and grabs Man-E-Faces and like sucks him in. It's a cool shot.
Yeah, it's very. It's very of this time. There's been plenty of pages like this in this miniseries of the old like Ditko, Jack Kirby kind of cosmic vibes. It's almost like this is what would happen if Steve Ditko, the 4th of July, and a rave party all hit Grayskull all at the same time and went crazy. Because I would have never expected a shot like this ever, where Grayskull's concerned, and here it is. Yeah. It's like, this shows you this is the extent of the imagination going into this line at the very beginning, because you would have never seen this in Filmation or MYP or any other version.
Well, it was this castle. It was the castle that was up for grabs. It held a lot of power, but it was neither good nor evil. But once, that's the other way it's showing here, it's like once the warriors get inside it, like all this power is being activated, and it's the power to control or destroy the universe. So you see all the explosions in the sky and the lighting up, and he's drawing his warriors in, with Man-E-Faces and everything. And then we get back to Damon and Skeletor, which so they have. I'm sorry.
I've been laughing through most of this. So you're allowed, man. It's okay.
So it's hang on. I think no. Yeah, no. Well, I'm gonna skip the page ahead here because it's mainly this page that the back. But so Damon and Skeletor fight, and Skeletor reveals that he knew what Damon wanted all along, but he pretended not to know so that Damon wouldn't know that he knew, so Damon would still come to him so that they could get inside, because he knew Damon wouldn't do it if he knew that Skeletor knew that he knew. Did I get that right?
Yeah. It's very Police Squad now. I mean, it's just...
But that's what
you knew what I knew that I knew back in the day when it's very.
That's what it feels like reading this. Like they're trying to be too smart and too clever with these plot twists. And
it's almost like out of nowhere they just decided we're going to channel this filmmaker from the late 90s and early 2000s, even though we're in 1983 doing this. What's that M. Night Shyamalan guy up to? Let's do this, because he's going to write this whole thing where, no, actually, here's the twist,
But yeah, it's like because first Damon's gloating that, he used Skeletor, he goaded him into attacking just so they could break through the barrier and get inside Castle Grayskull. And Skeletor, you think you tricked me, you think you possess knowledge that I did not, but I was feigning ignorance the whole time, because I knew you'd be watching me. It's like, no, just no.
Oh my god.
And then Skeletor kills Damon. And that's it for Damon.
I won't miss him. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, Damon.
But that was it. That was it. That was Damon. He set up 2 issues now. 2 issues now. This Damon guy has been messing with the heroes behind the scenes, and he just gets burned to ash by Skeletor. And that's
Yeah, and that's also a huge part of why I was like, who's the guy that isn't Skeletor that's doing all this stuff? And then when you mentioned it to me, I was like, who the crap is that? And now that I know, I'm like, I didn't need to know this guy. It's just not worth it. I mean, I don't know.
And here's the thing. Here's the thing. The heroes never even find out.
Yeah, that is true, because they come in right at the tail end of all this stuff.
Yeah, and they don't wind up here. They come into Grayskull in a second here on this next page. But so Zodak never told them. They never found out. Why even have it in there? Like, it served no purpose. Like, They tried to be really clever with it, and it just comes off like more head scratching to me.
Yeah, well, the thing is, out of all of this, to me, and this is not helping the story at all, and it's not helping the brand, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. You don't write a story, and this being the mini-series of showcasing, here's Masters of the Universe on their own, and having someone other than Skeletor being the one manipulating the whole situation. That, to me, is like, why would you even go there? And I'm like thinking in my head, okay, who would have been somebody that would have made sense to put in the Skeletor position? And unfortunately, Masters didn't have that yet. The best that you had was Merman in issue 2, like we talked about. So this story doesn't even work for what you're trying to do with this brand. I mean, the first 2 issues worked fairly well, but the whole idea of Skeletor, like the idea of the villain going to the hero and saying, I own you until you do this, and you're going to do the thing you're not supposed to do for me to get the power. That was really interesting. That actually is a compelling villain story. But then when you find out all this other stuff, it's like, really? You know? Like there's it's like it's undermining Skeletor. It's making him look weak. It's making him look like he doesn't quite understand everything. And it's also showing, like, from the standpoint of, here's this wizard who was basically on the same power with him.
Right.
What the heck? You know, like, that doesn't... well, he wasn't at the end.
He was lying. Yeah. He was tricking him. And I think that's why they put this in at the end here, because they were trying to be like, oh no, look, Skeletor really is the alpha. He was really controlling Damon the whole time and making him, tricking him, like...
Yeah.
But it just comes off convoluted, and I know if I'd read this as a kid, I would have been more like, what? Like, than anything else. Because I'm still sitting here, like, rereading it 3 times to make sure I'm getting this right. Like...
And that's not good. That's not good as a writer, to have people rereading things that many times going, did I not read this right?
Right.
So,
So that was Damon. Moment of silence for the fallen sorcerer.
Poor guy.
Amazing Grace.
Oh boy.
I won't torture all of you guys. Sean is left. He's like, nope, I'm out.
I tell you what, I need a quick break though. I do need to do something real quick, and then I jump back into this with you. Can we take a pause real quick?
Yep, let's pause.
Woohoo.
All right, now that Sean threw up a little bit from my singing, we're ready to go. So we jump in here. We got the heroes teleporting in now. And yeah, they look pretty cool. I like how Man-at-Arms instantly knows that they're inside Castle Grayskull. So he's very smart. And here we go again. With some of this police squad logic.
Here we go.
So as Tila says, that's got to mean the power sword is here, isn't it? And yes, it's a strange paradox that to gain rightful entry to the castle, one must hold the sword. Yet one must first gain entry to the castle ere the sword can be his. The workings of sorcery are ever a mystery to me.
Yeah, I actually reread that a couple times.
It's not sorcery, He-Man. It's
convoluted writing.
But in here, while they bring it up, is one of the issues I have with the 2 halves of the Power Sword, the Grayskull's Up for Grabs story. So right here, like, I mean, they found a way around it, but okay, that's it. You don't want anybody gaining entry to Grayskull? Lock the swords in Grayskull. Done. Game over.
I'll give you that.
Oh, wait, but no. Yeah. But now there's these talismans that can let you into Grayskull. So now the Power Sword's not the only thing, but you have to have Zodak too. And here again, it's just... It's convoluted, overly trying to be clever writing, in my opinion.
I feel like in the writing, for this part especially, I feel like it was almost an editor's note or something, where the basic principle was there, and okay, the two halves of the power sword, they were found. Now they're in Grayskull. You can't get access without doing this or that or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's still like, oh my god, like for me, liking that original story.
Yeah.
Which I do. I love that original story still, and I still feel like that could be a fun beginning to any storyline. And then once the halves are together, leave it alone. Don't even go back to it. It can be a part of the saga, but this is where it falls apart. No matter what.
And I don't mind that either. If you want to say, okay, the power sword is originally two halves, it gets combined into one, and then like you said, it's the power sword from there on out. Like, if that's a storyline, I could get behind that. But this, like, okay, let's combine them and conquer Skeletor. All right, now let's split them up and hide them again. Oh no, Skeletor found them again. We got to get him back again. Now let's split him again. Now let's hide him again. Like, that just, I don't know. Maybe it could work in the hands of the right writers, but for me, what this boils down to is, like you said, this is your mini series to introduce these characters beyond the mini comics, because the mini comics are only getting into the hands of the kids buying the toys right now. This is your first chance to get this story out to everybody. So in this case, I would say follow the KISS method. Keep it simple, stupid. Like, this should be the Diamond Ray disappearance. Like, there's nothing in Diamond Ray that's overly clever or overly, like, convoluted. It's just your basic, let's introduce the heroes. Let's introduce the villains. This is what they're going after. And have them fight. You know, and rereading this, even over the past months that me and Sean have been doing this, this is not where I saw this going.
Nope. Not at all.
After those first two issues, I thought it was going to be a simple, they find the power sword somewhere, they give it to Skeletor, he gains access to Grayskull, they get the goddess back, and then they have to go stop him. Like, why couldn't we just get to that obvious ending here? Because that's what this is about. This is about introducing the core concepts. But then you shoehorn this Damon in, who is never seen before, will never be seen after, is not even a toy. So why even push him in there? And then, like I said, here, this is their first outing, and you've already found a way to lock up the whole power sword Skeletor gaining access to Grayskull issue. Like, just and it's the same as the guy who locks his keys in the car. Like, I mean,
that's a good way to describe it, yeah.
Like, I'm not trying to tear this apart, because I quite liked where the issues were going. It just, every time I reread this third issue, it's like, how did we get here? You know, so. But yeah. But so then you got what, 4 doors ahead of them? Yeah, because he and Battle Cat go together. And so so they all decide to split up. I did like the one line on here. I skipped over it. Battlecat says he was growing weary of that lifeless place. I much prefer a world where there are things to fight. And Tila responds, "Aren't you ever tired of blood, Cat?" So, I love that. I know it's so different from the Battlecat we get, later on, but I love this Battlecat. There's just something about him. All his lines make me smile.
It works. I mean, he's a cat.
Right. He's the alpha cat. Like, he's very much He-Man's the alpha male in this world, and Battlecat is the alpha cat. So it works for him. Yep. But yeah, so you get Stratos choosing his door. He goes flying in, and he gets caught in a spider web.
Which he's had that happen on MYP, so I can forgive this.
but no, at least WebStore was there that time and actually like.
But that's what I was gonna say. Yeah, there was an actual villain that did that had actually connected to the story. This is just this random. It reminds me of like the old 1930s Dracula movie where Bela Lugosi walks through the cobweb, and then here's Renfield Stratos trying to figure things out. It just doesn't work in his favor.
My way is blocked. I cannot stop in time. I'm all tangled up.
It's that seems to be the typical foil for him. Yeah, it's like with Stratos, it's throw a web at him. Basically, it's like he flies. How do we handle this? Throw a web at him. Okay.
Yeah. And then Tila's is a little better. She goes through her door, and there's this whole maze there. It's okay. That looks pretty formidable. I mean, it's a giant maze, so.
Her dialogue there, though, and her solo scenes in this, like there are people out there complaining about the new She-Ra having too much of a modern vernacular, but in here we get to hear Tila say "oh boy," and we also get her saying "brother" at one point, as in like, "brother, this is annoying," or something along like it's a bother, brother, and it's like. Didn't expect that to be on Eternia either. So, there's definitely like elements of this where it's like, for anybody who complains about the new stuff, it isn't like this is a new thing. This has been around for not the whole time, but it's been there, and little touches here and there. So
it slips in here and there. Yeah, I think it's all. I think there's a lot more to it than just that, and we will get to Princesses of Power someday. We promise.
Well, out of all the characters, she is the one that seems to be written of Earth. Like when you read her lines in this, everyone else has that stilted King's English kind of thing, but she's the one that's just direct. She doesn't really have that vibe about her dialogue anywhere. Like even when she's thinking, she has more of like, this is how a normal person would talk compared to He-Man or Skeletor or whoever in this book, so.
Yep, and then
I do like how they handle Man-at-Arms.
Go ahead.
This will be Man-at-Arms. Basically, he goes through the third door. There's just weapons, and I love that he's just like, it's like golly gee, like gods. Never have I laid eyes on such a formidable collection of weaponry. It's awesome. And it's just it amuses me. It's like he went through the door and it's Christmas for him, like that. And then somehow Grayskull and okay, yes, I understand that there are monitors in the playset for Grayskull. There's the space armor in Grayskull and all that stuff. The spaceman suit and everything. But I love that the way that he gets caught is there are motion detectors in here. Like there's actual a manner of sensor, he says. So basically there is like laser sensors along the way in this arsenal room that he's in, and that's how he gets caught. And it's like, I didn't know it turned into the Entrapment, the movie with Catherine Zeta-Jones wiggling her butt through all those laser beams, but apparently that's what they have in Grayskull as well.
Well, Snake Mountain had him in the Filmation series, so
that's true. That's true.
I'll give it to him. But and then he's gone in a puff of red explodey smoke.
That is just. Yeah, that's weird too, because it honestly looks like he's vaporized or something.
It does. It looks like he's done.
It actually looks like he's enveloped by like if they launched the atomic bomb. He looks like somebody that just got on ground zero.
Like self-destruct sequence and.
Exactly. So. And you know what? For me, complaining about that, it's the hardest thing to remember for me sometimes is the typical line of it's a kitchen sink property. Yeah. But when we go back to this era, it wasn't a kitchen sink property quite yet. That's why I have the problem with that part. But in general, if you looked at it from the overall, like if you went to 1987 and did this story, I wouldn't have thought twice about, lasers in the floor. Of course, they're going to be motion detectors or something. Here, it just feels like, there should be something coming out like a knight or something, like a spirit knight that has to fight him using all that weaponry or something. But we're limited to 3 panels. So I can see why they went that to the simplest form of let's just get them that way.
And that's kind of the funny thing too, is that the castle is kind of the opposite of the rest of it. The rest of it started off more post-apocalyptic, like barbaric, and sparse, and then it turned into like this technological world that was filled with weapons and vehicles and gadgets and everything. But the castle went the opposite way. Like that original, off the toy, you're looking at computer monitors and touchscreens and spacesuits and, and then it became much more the ancient fortress of sorcery, magic. And most of that, I mean, you'd see little bits of information with Sorceress's lab and stuff like that, but not as much to where we're more... Like, the castle to us nowadays is more like, oh, that's pure magic, no technology. But here it really was. It was supposed to be housing all these great computers and weapons and everything. So, yeah, it's kind of interesting how that one part, like, kind of regressed the other way. But.
Yeah. But honestly, that's part of the appeal to me about the early stuff in the line, no matter what. I like... There is, I wouldn't call it a kitchen sink property in the beginning. I'd call it a throwing the spaghetti at the wall property. Yep. Like whatever sticks is what we're going to keep in there. And, that's how you had your building blocks to what it became. But there is this element of it where it's like I said, I think last episode, there's that element of there's these little bits they give you as a foundation, and the cracks in between that foundation is where your imagination can go nuts.
Yeah.
So that's part of why that always will be an appealing part of it for me.
No, I agree. And then we'd get to the fourth door, which He-Man and Battle-Cat got to go together. And they're talking about how the castle has to be defended, but they haven't come across anything yet, and that makes He-Man even more worried. And Battle-Cat says that he can taste it just beyond this door. There's something close here, and so He-Man's gonna tap into the energies of his power vest and make an entryway of his own. And may the gods pity any that await on the other side. Yeah,
that works.
It works, but they picked the lucky door though, where they didn't have to fight with anybody.
They with them, it's like you guys have had a rough enough time. We're just gonna have a gimme on this one,
right?
But yeah, it's like honestly, with me complaining about the Man at Arms part up there, it's like no, I want He-Man to have that speech. Let's just keep that in. That works. So, and here we are with the next page. We have. Okay, good. You're on it too. The Teela, the brother. It's not even brother. It's brother.
And she decides that there's no way out unless she makes an exit. So she just shoots a hole in the floor, as we do, and drops right in on Skeletor. Luckily. And
it works for me. I mean, at this point, this is the part of if this was a movie or if this was a cartoon, my brain would have already been like, I'm not processing this. She's shooting things. Awesome.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, she showed up where Skeletor is. Even more awesome. Now we know where we're going at least.
Yeah, no, it's good. But here's the part where earlier and now in the Power Sword, it's like mine. What is that Austin Powers line? Oh my, I've gone cross-eyed. Because here again, so before Damon could see the swords wherever he was, but then they had to gain entry to Grayskull to get the swords, but now Skeletor is reaching through this magical warp to get the Power Sword, which again leads you to believe that they're somewhere other than Grayskull, but then the hero said earlier that the swords must be in Grayskull, and So, I guess the end conclusion is Skeletor has the Power Swords now, but
Basically, yeah.
Where they were, we're still not sure. If anyone's got any ideas, let us know.
Yeah, feel free.
It's weird. And in here again, just the fact that they put them both together. I mean, I think this is the only time where they've hidden both halves in the same place. Usually they, at least in these early stories, they had the sense to hide the one half in one place and the other half in another place. No matter how unlikely it seemed that one would be found, they at least made him work for that other one.
This makes me think of Zodak's line. I'll do no more, no less. I'll do what I do, and that's it. It's almost like, did Zodak hide these? I mean, seriously, was there a game on? You were worried you were going to miss the game, so you just did the best that you could in that 5 minutes.
I do think they put this one on the goddess, if I recall correctly.
No, I know, but it reminds me too much of that. I'll do no more, no less kind of thing. It's like, that's basically how this feels.
This next page is epic, though. I like this.
I do like this one, too, yeah.
Skeletor combined the power sword, Tila's knocked on her butt, and He-Man just comes whamming through the wall.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is definitely one of the best pages of this issue for me.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Although the one thing about it is Skeletor holding both hands to hold the power sword just makes me go, have you seen these handles?
Yeah.
It's like that isn't how it works. But hey, whatever. Like I said, my mind at this point is so like what from this issue that hey, let's just run with this. So.
No, yeah, I think his hands are quite large there too anyway, so the proportions are not great, but it's a cool action scene with He-Man bursting in just at the right moment.
Actually, I do like that the first words on that page when He-Man busts in is He-Man, welcome. That's really cool. It's like I like that. I was expecting you and all that. So.
Yeah, and he's got a good speech there about how he's basically just going to destroy this whole world and everything. So, and then even He-Man on the next page. But if the sword was accessible to you, why were we needed, demon? So even He-Man's having problems keeping up with the plot here. Because here again, they never find out about Damon. They never find out about the whole subplot. So, well, I guess he does mention Damon here, but they never really they don't dwell on it. He's just like, yeah, I used you to lure Damon to me and find my way to the sword, and now he sits on the throne of Grayskull, and he's going to mess with them a little bit before he drains all the power and kills the entire universe. And he calls up Beastman and Manny Faces to his side, which here I don't understand why, if he could do that, he didn't call his entire army, but Beastman and Manny Faces he felt were good enough.
This also makes me curious about the timing in this book.
Mm-hmm.
Because with Manny Faces getting pulled into Grayskull, which happened like 5 pages or 10 pages back, is that the moment he's pulled in? Because now Skeletor's got both power swords, he's got both halves together, and all hell's breaking loose outside of Grayskull when Manny Faces is just standing there.
Yeah.
And then he sucks him in. It's like, so basically, are we witnessing a foreshadowing of this moment then? When, like earlier, from the outside, and then now we're on the inside, and that's how he has Manny Faces transported there, and he's gonna use him to fight He-Man. And this is definitely not a straight and easy story to figure out for the 3rd issue. And this should not have been this much work. This should have been the fighty the issue, basically. Right. And all this is like, what the hell?
It should have been He-Man and company find the power sword, give it to Skeletor. Skeletor achieves his goal of Grayskull, and they have to stop him after helping him get in there. Like that's the wrap up.
Yeah.
But instead, like I said, but I do like Beastman here. He's very cocky. He's ready to fight. They got the old Man-E-Face's origin where, the human doesn't know what's going on here. Skeletor turns him into the Beast, and he starts fighting for Skeletor. So, Man is good, Beast is bad, and we don't see the robot, but he's the in-between when the goddess and Skeletor have too much fun with him.
Oh my god.
And we could do a whole episode on Man-E-Faces, and we will actually. That is in the plans. But
yeah.
So I don't want to get into too much here, but that's basically it's that early mini comic origin for Man-E-Faces where the Beast mode is the evil one.
If there was ever an alpha moment in this entire book, it has to be the first panel on the second page here. When basically the way He-Man deals with Beastman is he just literally bitch slaps him with his battle axe and says, "You attack like a cub playing at War Games, Beast."
Yeah.
It's just
blong. Yeah, he's whacks him right in the face with the battle axe. Yep.
Oh my god, that's so awesome.
and then he has to take on Man-E-Faces, who's got awesome strength in the Beast mode, but he dispatches him easily. And then Skeletor pulls the old trapdoor on He-Man off the throne of the castle. So, hey kids, look what you can do when you buy your own Castle Grayskull. Only $29.95. Bug your mommy.
Well, exactly, and this bit is basically like a storyboard setup for that Filmation advertisement when they first launched the line. Because I mean, right here, it's the trapdoor opens, and then the next page, He-Man, and Teela throws the spear to help him that he doesn't fall in, and it's like, my God, this is exactly what we saw in that commercial. So I think that's pretty fun, actually.
I thought the same thing. Yeah, it's that first animated commercial exactly.
Mm-hmm.
You get to see the monsters in the pit, and He-Man jumps back out. And yeah, it's basically what they used every time. There was another. It was either one of the storybooks or one of the mini comics. They did the same thing in. But this is exactly that animated or advertisement. So that was interesting to me.
He-Man catch. Consider it caught, Teela.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I love it.
And then so then he jumps right at Skeletor and just starts pummeling him. And no, we're good still. And then we see what Zor's been up to all the time.
Yep.
And
here.
Go ahead. I don't even know how to explain this.
There's a lot of far away on another reality. So here we are jumping again. Mm-hmm. It sweeps across the dimensional planes with endearing purpose. Its master is elsewhere, and though she can neither move nor bring her own magical forces into play, she still does bid him come. And the Falcon obeys, and the fabric of reality is rent. Talon touches flesh on so briefly, and the fabric of reality is bent. They are gone, poof. And it's like, that is such an like stopping all of this fight in order to have these 3 panels, and it doesn't really say much other than here comes the goddess because Zor is helping. That's about it.
Right.
And
all the goddess needed to break Skeletor's magic bonds is for Zor to touch her shoulder.
Yes. And then one thing I like here though, on top of this, and I'm not even going to that Zor thing. That's a whole nother can of worms, but for me. But I just love that we have He-Man even cussing in this thing. So like he's punching Skeletor in the face. Drop, damn you, demon! Like, man, my mom would have had a fit at 4 or 5 to get in this issue, and her seeing the hero is cussing. I mean, he's not like telling him, anything horribly bad. But the fact that the hero is actually using "damn" in a sentence in the very beginning of the 80s, I mean, that was kind of risque back in those days. I mean, hell and damn were like, ooh, like that was a PG movie already, So
but
it's
it's that first Turtles movie. It's where Raph's,
damn.
Which apparently parents groups got upset about that too, which is weird because my mom was the same way. She she didn't tolerate cussing of any sort. So, but like we watched the Turtles movie all the time, all the damn time.
Don't let your mom listen to this.
And that's the thing, is she never brought it up. It's actually years later when I'm like, does he? Because it never even really stood out to me because she never made a big deal about it, so.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, I like that line, and I felt larger foes with less. It's showing Skeletor's on a power level, equal with He-Man, even if he's not as strong,
Mm-hmm.
And then Skeletor remembers, oh yeah, I don't need to take this. I've got the power sword. All I have to do is end the universe, end all the existence. So that's a solid backup plan. Either I beat you hand to hand, or I just destroy the whole universe, and you have to go. And so then
I think Skeletor in any other incarnation, I think probably wouldn't have even gone to the fisticuffs. He just would have been like, it reminds me of 2000X. He gets the Ramstone. He's not going to go and sully himself by fighting you one-on-one. He's going to use whatever it is that he has at his command and knock the living power of Grayskull out of you, basically.
Yeah. So then we got Skeletor monologuing for a minute here. And he's starting to absorb the full power of the power sword so that Skeletor may join the ranks of the gods themselves. So he's starting to, like you said earlier, he's going to drain all the power and leave this universe dead. But then Zor shows up and attacks him, and he decides he's going to slay the Falcon. It is his whim, and the dealing of death, as always, his pleasure. So.
PETA is going to be pissed.
Yeah. But that distracts the Falcon distracts Skeletor long enough that He-Man's able to body slam him, tackle him to the ground, and Zor's able to steal the power sword out of his hand. And then He-Man just punches Skeletor out.
Yep. I mean, really and truly, that's really it, because when we see the final panel, Skeletor is laying there looking like he got, in the words of Chris Tucker, he got knocked the F out there. And then it's like you got Teela, He-Man, the Goddess, and Battle Cat all just kind of looking at him, almost like they're gonna write something in Sharpie on his forehead, like a prank or something. It just this is how we ended a 3-issue miniseries by DC to introduce everybody to the actual world of Masters of the Universe without having to ride the coattails of Superman in the 80s. So. So there we have it. Which I'm not upset that we went to it because I've never read the entire thing.
We got one more here. We got the Goddess, and she's going. She says, "He-Man, you made your goddess proud," and He-Man's like, "Goddess, you're safe," and she goes, "Well, I was never in danger. I could not communicate that to you. Skeletor held my form prisoner, though he could not control me, nor halt the Falcon from finding and releasing me once he did." So, basically, the entire setup of the book wasn't even a concern because the goddess was never in any danger, and she just had to wait for Zor to get there.
Because having stakes and then diffusing them at the end like a Scooby-Doo story is the perfect way of telling any kind of a tale like this. Right. Because this is not a Scooby-Doo story where it can just diffuse itself at the end and everybody's back to status quo. And I mean, so I know the first two issues, you and I were both pretty pumped.
Yeah.
And we were like, wow, this is great. And we were praising a lot of the storytelling, because it was chalking a whole bunch of story into those, I'm guessing they're about 20 to 24 pages
right.
of the comic and all that stuff. And we were getting the first glimpses of this is Eternia on, right. In comic book form in this way and all that kind of stuff. So here we are, issue 3. Yeah. And for me, go ahead. Your hands are on your face. So
we got the throwaway line at the end there from the goddess. And she says she's gonna place the sword again. She's gonna hide it again because that's worked so well thus far. She's gonna imprison Skeletor. She's gonna hide the sword. Oh, and we have to go rescue some of your allies because they're in some compromising positions.
Oh yeah, that's right. We forgot. Man at Arms is in the lurch. He was blown up in a small atomic bomb blast, and Stratos is there going, Help me, guys! Help me!
So we never even get a resolution with Man at Arms or Stratos. Manny Faces is still the monster. Beastman's lying right over there.
Yeah, exactly. Manny Faces basically got like aerosoled because I kept on thinking when Rose Google Eamon mentioned about the techno vents that he thought it was silly that it looks like it just puffs out smoke and that's how he gets rid of people, and I'm like, I don't remember where that's from at all. I couldn't think of it. Now that I just saw it, I'm like, this is that moment, and dear God, it is just as bad as he just described it on that episode. And it's true. It's like, what the heck was that? It was just this puff of smoke that launched Manny Faces off of him, but he's still in the room too.
Right. So you got Beast Mode Manny Faces, you got Beast Man.
Yeah.
Skeletor's right there. You still have War. Honestly, I read this right before we started, and I got this final page again, and even having read it a few weeks back, I still just sat there like, that's it?
Yeah.
You haven't even tied up all your loose ends here. You've diffused the major points of this series, and then you didn't even finish the story that you presented here. And you're just like, okay, the end.
For the best way I can describe this issue is for anyone who likes the new Star Wars sequels.
Yeah.
This is truly Rise of Skywalker. I just saw it a week or two back, and I'm reading this just going, that is exactly what they did in that movie. There's these moments where you're sitting there going, this is kind of cool, it's working for me. And then you're sitting there going, but there's so much crap in this movie because the last issue last movie went on its own separate thing, and now they're trying to write the course, and it's like the first 2 issues didn't do anything so ridiculous that you needed to write a course.
Right.
It's almost just like at the end they just kind of gave up and said, we're just going to put this in here and whatever. It's almost like this was given less thought than a typical comic book in that month, because this was not even a priority on their desk of this is what I got to get deadline wise.
That's what I'm saying. I don't get how this issue followed the other 2. It's unnecessary subplots and wasted panels, and the pacing is all over the place, and then I don't know. I don't know. It's odd. It's odd. So I don't know. I think I've said everything I had to say about it, to be honest, during while we said it. It's weird.
Well, this is going to be completely thrown in your lap here, but I just figured I'd ask just to see. You're given these 3 issues to do. What would you have done?
Well, like I said,
as a story.
1 and 2, fine. Perfectly fine. The only thing I would change in those is you're gonna remove Damon completely. Well, gonna remove him completely as the force behind all of it, even though he wasn't really. Skeletor tricked him into thinking he was behind. I'm not going down that rabbit hole again.
Yeah.
But yeah, so basically I would set up to where the obstacles that they are facing are, instead of it being some unknown source, those are the demons that the goddess set up to protect the sword. Because they're going on the path to find the sword, that's why they're meeting this resistance.
Makes sense.
Right, done. You don't need a third party. Throw this out. So, you have them collect the talismans just like they did. Zodak can show up just like he did. But this time he actually leads them to the power sword, where it's hidden away. They get both the halves. They give it to Skeletor, and he obviously double crosses him, because he's a villain. Of course that's what he's going to do. It's what he did to save Skeletor. It's what he tried to do in Evil Seed. Every time there's Hordak tried to do it to He-Man and the Star Comics. I mean, every time a villain and a hero team up, Stratos and Trapjaw and Trust in the MYP series. I mean, just stop trying to be clever. Just do it. So they give the halves to Skeletor. He combines them. He still doesn't give them the goddess back. And then he goes to Grayskull. The heroes realize that they have to stop him. They travel to Grayskull. And like you said, it's the battle. Skeletor gets all his warriors. Have Many-Faces in there. Sure, why not? You're using that origin right now anyways. So he's got Many-Faces. He's got Beastman. He's got Merman. Bring a bunch of beasties with him. Have Beastman with his whole army that we saw back in issue 1 attacking Avion. You know? And just have the big battle royale. Have him get into Grayskull. Have Skeletor take some of the power. Do the trap door. Do the dungeon. Do all the stuff that's showing the kids what a cool playset this is gonna be. And then at the end of it, have He-Man beat Skeletor, take the power sword, and free the goddess, and banish Skeletor away. And you wrap up with them hiding the power swords again, because that's what you're doing in this era. That's where my mind goes. Like I said, just keep it simple. Stick to your basics, because that's what you're doing here. You're introducing this property to everybody. Yeah. So what about you?
Well, Damon, he's got to be dropped like a bad habit. I mean, that guy. I hated the fact that the fact that anybody other than Skeletor is the villain in this just eats at me for some reason. And it's mostly, this is the beginning. This is your ground level story of introducing the entire premise. So, the two halves of this power sword, even, that would have been, like, the whole talisman thing, I didn't even like that. I would have preferred if you had the two sides actually going to just find the power sword. He-Man's after one with Battle Cat, Stratos and Man-at-Arms and Teela are after the other. That's all you need. You don't need these talismans. You don't need all this other stuff. So, because I thought that convoluted it right off the bat, and I'm like, what the heck is this all about? And it's like, oh, it's just for this story. Whatever. There's a throwaway element to that. Damon, man, that guy, no. And I do like the idea that the final battle is right there. That Skeletor's got the two halves. He's about to unlock Grayskull, and He-Man's doing his Hail Mary, going after him and still trying to do what's right to protect the universe. But at the same time, is he too late? Is he going to get there? And the thing that I would have liked, actually, because I know this era is the era that it is. But it would have been interesting because in some of the Golden books coming out around that time, as well as the mini comics, some of them were starting to even go to by the power of Grayskull at little bits and pieces here and there. And it was starting to work itself into the mythology. It would have been kind of cool, and there's no way they would have been able to do it because they don't think like this for this brand in the beginning. But it would have been cool for He-Man to actually fight Skeletor while he's got them in the lock to open Grayskull into the Jawbridge. He comes up and grabs it, and the two of them are like, going at it right there, trying to get the sword from each other. And that would be maybe the moment where you actually have He-Man have to utter the words "by the power of Grayskull" there, and that just boom, and it just like then the power swords can't be taken apart ever again. Right. Those are solid, and those are now it's his because it's imbuing him with the power to beat Skeletor in that moment. Finally, that's that edge he needs, other than just being the fisticuffs barbarian tough guy.
Right.
But again, that's me if I could do it based on what I know of it now versus back then.
No.
That would have never happened back then. It would have gone to, okay, reset, put all the pieces back on the game board the way they were.
That's what they did at the end of all of them, except for Damon. He's a pile of ash still.
Which fine. Get a shot back and get rid of that guy. I don't care. But yeah, like I think the one thing about this story that just annoys me in the fact that it's taught me a lesson is, yes, that concept of the two power swords, as much as I like it, there are the two halves of the power sword, I should say, instead of two power swords. But the idea of the two halves of the sword is not a good idea to keep in play in a longevity for the line, which as a kid, I liked the idea that, it was that feeling of it was that feeling of like almost like King of the Mountain or something, where you have the two sides and whoever gets to the top first and the race against time aspect. But yeah, there's only so long you can play that game before it's like, well, what else can you do with this line? And then they're like, they don't have any other plans. So
they apparently felt that way right off the bat because, like I said, they had to introduce Damon in here, who, I mean, like I said, even if you had somehow managed that to be like a Trapjaw or a Triclops or somebody where Mattel was actually trying to sell a toy, then you could go like, okay, they had to, like Manny-Face, they had to get him in here somehow. The fact that it's Damon, who's nothing outside of this, is like, that was just the writer trying to be clever, and it did not work.
Yeah.
It was actually a really disappointing end to this series for me.
Yeah, I agree completely on that level. Like, I'm actually offended right now, to be completely honest. Like, that one got to levels that, like, there's certain Filmation episodes where I get offended by them. Like, and for me, it's like it kind of hit that level, and the artwork in this one didn't even it didn't even right the ship for me. There's that one big page of Skeletor having both halves of the sword and He-Man busting through the wall. That is probably the best you're going to get in this entire issue.
Yeah, the beginning fight with the demons for me, but But yeah, beyond that, it's like, I mean, honestly, man, I gotta go like a 4 on this one. Like, this is, and like I said, those demons raised it a point, so it's,
Well,
I mean, it's an ending, but it's
an ending. It's like, who was that on? Oh, it was on Flintstones. The woolly mammoth that would be like the washing in the sink, and it's a living. It's like it's an ending.
It's an ending. I mean, I think just the fact that it's continuing on from I don't know, those first 2 issues really got me pumped to be diving into this era of He-Man, and then the reading this today was just like, man, I'd forgotten what a letdown that ending was. So like I said, I honestly think that's a little inflated just because I'm trying to be nice to issues 1 and 2. But yeah, I'm gonna stick with a 4 here.
So you're meaning like an overall for for just issue 3.
No, just issue 3.
Okay. So for me, I'm just going to stick with the number of the issue. It's a 3 for me because it deflated me. It made me just go, this is too convoluted for one issue to handle. And like the whole I was smarter than you, but you were smarter than me, but I was smarter than you, but you were smarter than me. And it's like, shut up. Just that garbage. Stop I can't stand that. That's just trying to be pompous and like I hate anything written like that. Drives me up the wall. The fact that the heroes half the time are like actually using their narratives to say, well, that wasn't how it was worded before or whatever. Like He-Man breaking almost the fourth wall in that one scene. It's like, yeah, I'm right on board with you, man. I don't know what the heck's happening here and all that. And I mean, Damon, I'm so glad he's dead, but he was such a waste of that story. He didn't need to be in it at all. The whole thing with the Beast Man part, like you said, why is he not there with all the other Beast Men, or at least bringing in beasts that he had and all this? And they left the ending so ambiguous with the, well, we got to go save your friends now. It's like, really?
Just like we had bigger battles in every other. We had more battles, bigger battles in every other issue in this series than we did in the final issue.
Yeah, it was anticlimactic on every level, and I mean, the first two issues honestly felt like the mini comics, but on a bigger scale for me.
Right.
And then when we get to this one, it's like it felt like nothing felt the same as what we had in the last couple issues.
Right.
And we're left with that, and you're just there, kind of looking around going, that was it? And then all of a sudden the lights go out and you're like, I guess that's it, and you walk out. I mean, that's
time to go. Well, you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here.
Exactly. and yeah, so like the whole mini series itself, that one brought it down for me enough to say I'd give it a 5, and that really annoys me that I'm gonna just say it's a 5, because the first two were actually 7s for me, like the art and the story.
I can't remember how high I ranked them. I should have gone back and looked, but I know they were up there individually. Yeah. But for me too, saying that's exactly what I was gonna say. Knowing that that's how it ends, the series as a whole gets a 5 for me, which is disappointing, because those first two issues were a lot better than that.
Honestly, I think the first issue probably is my favorite now that I think about it, because that one just felt pure and good mini comics. And then when we got into issue 2, there started to get a little bit of that convolutedness with here's Adam on the hunt, remember? And that's how we get the Damon part. And both of us are like, so where does this part happen? Because Randor's with him, and then in the next panel he's still dressed as Adam, and there's certain things that started eluding you. You could start seeing it there. But here we are at the third issue going, well, I didn't see it coming this bad. I saw like maybe there'd be like a discrepancy between panels, but now we're like, no, this is just, the storytelling is just, hey, I got some Post-it notes on this. I'm just writing it up really quick, and we got to ship it to the printer tomorrow. It's, I don't know.
I agree.
I feel bad for being that guy about it, because, like I said, when it's a professional work and people are doing this for their living, there is an element of, I don't do this, therefore, as a critic, I feel like a jerk. But there is an element of, you feel like what was his name? Paul Kupperberg, I think it was.
Yeah.
The writer, it's like you just get this feeling this guy wasn't invested in it enough to see it through. He just probably gave it to an intern and said, "Make the best out of these notes, please," or something.
But that's the thing. It's like the first two issues he was like, and that's the first thing I said to Sean when we got on the phone today. I go, "Was this the same writer?" That was the first thing I checked when we got on, because I'm like, it can't be, because it wasn't these. First two were just, they weren't this at all.
But that's kind of why I honestly think there had to be a ghostwriter in there or something, because it feels like there was notes that he just gave, and this person tried to cobble them together and do the best they could, and it feels almost like they didn't know how to pace it properly, because at the very end it just felt like it all just, everything just boom, and it's like a car wreck at the end, and you're just there like, what happened? And you're like, well, at least the people in front of this first car that had the wreck are fine, but now we got all that crap behind us. So And I wish I looked back too, because I forgot what I gave the first 2 issues for my reviews. But I'd say, probably an 8 or a 7 at the very least, because I was really into those.
I was surprised at how high I was on the first 2, and now I remember why I wasn't. I don't recall this series with as much fondness. So
yeah, and for me as a kid, I mean, like when I saw how many panels were on a page in this one, you could tell why I probably zoned out and didn't want to read the thing after a while, because this one's just like, what the crap are you trying to tell me?
I'm telling you, I would not have been. I had to read that a few times today. I would not have been able to follow that one-upping as a kid. I would have gotten the basic idea, but I would have not been able to follow that. That was too much trying to be too clever.
Yeah.
But did you hear the amazing news that came out today?
No, I don't think I did. What was the? No, wait. There was something that can't. What was it? Oh, are you talking about the Origins? Is that it, or are you going to something else?
The other thing I posted today. You follow my posts, right?
Yeah, but sometimes I don't check all the time. What did you do? Did you get what is it? Oh, the Uno. Yeah,
Masters of the Universe Uno.
Yeah, Aaron Johnson. I saw he was like Skeletor 3 or something like that.
Skeletor says draw 4.
Yeah, draw 4. That's it. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. Right. This is exciting to me, and it was on the official Masters of the Universe, the Mattel Masters of the Universe Facebook group. So I'm hoping this isn't just like some prank mock-up, because my family loves Uno and they use that awesome box art artwork on the cards there. You can see He-Man on Battle Cat. There's a Bashosaurus, a land shark, and looks like the Wind Raider over there. So if that's true, that's going to be awesome. So me and my family play Uno all the time.
No, I thought you were talking about there was a post today. I know David Clark posted it saying that the one website was going to have the Origins figures, I think, starting next month, available to order or something. So it's like
they're supposedly going to ship. I can't remember if it said early or late May, but supposedly retailers are getting the notice that they're ready to ship in May. So, no, I'm more excited about Masters of the Universe Uno than I am about the Origins. So,
yeah, and that's the funny thing. Like you and I were talking about that earlier. I just want to throw that out there because it's amusing to me real quick. Like I admitted tonight I'm going to have my Masters of the Universe geek card revoked because of the fact the Origins isn't doing much for me.
Yeah.
The Vintage really doesn't do as much for me these days. It's all about Classics, because Classics has been really knocking it out of the park ever since they started. And it's the weirdest thing to be a geek about this, and everybody has an opinion. Everybody can have their opinions. But it is interesting that there is this feeling out there where, it's all vintage or nothing. And then I'm like, oh, it's all classics or nothing. And then it's like now we have it's all Origins or nothing. And I'm just there like, can't we all just get along?
That's where I'm at. And that's why
the beauty of it.
This podcast, because everything has something worthwhile. And that's my opinion, and you will not take it from me. But yeah, I'm not excited for... You know what? I'm not excited for Origins, personally, but I am excited to see my boys heading down the aisle and seeing Origins. I think that's going to be cool, because I think they'll get into that. But yeah, for me, that Origins is not what I want to put up on my shelf. But, neither is Vintage. But I get the people who collect Vintage. I get the people who want Origins. I get it, but it's just not for me. And there's no right or wrong answer in the fandom.
No.
So, the only thing I really hate is those people who are like, it's this or nothing. Those people who go, well, you're not a true fan unless you have all the vintage figures, or unless you collect this, or unless you collect that. And no. If you enjoy He-Man, She-Ra, any of this on any level, you're a true fan. I don't care what you're able to buy or what you choose to buy or whatever. It doesn't matter. We're all fans, and we should all respect that. That's what I hate seeing is the condescendingness from some people. And it's not a lot. It's really not. Some of them might be pretty loud, but it's not a lot of fans. Most fans are pretty cool, easygoing, and same thing. I get the different aspects of the collecting and everything, even if it's not my cup of tea. But there are those few who just seek to ruin it for everyone. And we get tired of hearing them, don't we?
Yeah, and I mean, to be honest, in this day and age, I mean, especially, classics being put in quote-unquote hibernation, as Mattel has put it, and, here we are with 2 new cartoons about to hit. Yep. The potential of the movie is still somewhat there, although I know you're less positive about that than some from our conversations. Until you see a trailer, you're not believing that it's
chance it could happen. I guess.
I know.
If anyone wants to put money on it, go ahead and message me, and I'll take some wagers.
We're in an interesting time because here we are. It's going to be going on 40 years that this line has been out pretty soon in the next couple years, and here we are. We're still able to talk about it, and we're still able to have new things coming out for it. So in that way, I'm never going to tell somebody who wants to have the origins. Yeah. You suck because this is what you want compared to what I want. There is going to be. It's very much when I get it in hand, that's when I'll have my opinion. Because right now, I'm going to be honest, it's not grabbing me the way that other things have got. The vintage, 2000X, and classics were my holy trinity, basically, of the collecting of this line. And now Origins for me feels kind of like I'd probably buy them and hand them to my kid and be like, here's He-Man. This can be yours now. Exactly. And then Daddy will keep his downstairs. And then my kid can have a blast going crazy with them, and I'll feel like I don't have to worry about any classics figure on my shelf getting taken down and going crazy with a 3-year-old at this point. So that's the beauty of it. So.
No, that's exactly what I'm looking forward to as well. It's like, okay, these are something that they can hunt out in the store. They can play with them. They're at retail prices, which is still around like $12-15 a figure nowadays. But still, that's the average. Any DC guy you're going to pick up, wrestler, whatever's down the aisle now. But that's a lot easier to swallow than some of the prices we paid on classics. Don't tell my wives.
Do not tell my wife. Oh, dear God. With how many are down here, she's going to be like, and you did what? She knows how much is down here. She comes down here and does the laundry, and when she comes down the stairs, she can look down the hall, and she goes, what did you do now? And it's like, but I honestly, I think the one thing that Origins could offer up that I'm very curious about in the long term is what they might do with Grayskull. Yeah. Because if they do reuse the classics Grayskull somehow, like I've heard they might do that, but it has less paint apps possibly. That would be where my curiosity would be piqued, because if it's going to be maybe $100 to buy one of those instead of, like I've seen it listed for $700 to $1,000 nowadays.
Yeah, it's going ridiculous.
It's like for me as somebody that I was late into the line and I missed out on that one. It's like that for me is my grail. I would love to get my hands on a classics Grayskull, but not have to pay a mortgage payment to get it right now. So that would be a great way to do it, but otherwise. Yeah. Like I said, I got to get them in hand first. Yeah,
the vehicles could be fun too, because I've always wanted a fleet of vehicles, but I can't pay classics vehicle prices for a fleet. Like that's just crazy talk. So no, there is some stuff they could do with it that would be good. But like I said, for me, the majority of it is just like this could be my kids' line if they're into it when they see it down the shelves. So.
I'm afraid of my son going into a Target and seeing them, because I know when he gets excited he yells, And my son, he did his little cameo not long ago on the show.
He did.
And just the other day, he just raised his arm out of nowhere and did "By the Power of Grayskull" at both me and my wife, and like almost knocked us down with the amount of emphasis he put into yelling at us. And it's like I could just picture him at a Target going down the aisle, and there it is. He sees He-Man, and he'd probably do that then. And everybody will just be looking at us like, "What is wrong with you?" And I'll just be there grinning, going like, "That's my boy." But there's going to be that element of I don't want everybody to look at us, but I'm so proud of you right now. So.
No, I agree. That's the dream right there. And if this Origins can get a whole new generation invested in this line, perfect. That's exactly what we need. It's it's not the line for me, but it does have a job that it could do, and if it does it well, I will support it. So.
Yeah, I agree with that a lot. So
yeah.
I guess that's about it. Hey, the end of next month, we finally get to have issue 6 now. So we not only wrapped up this one, we get to wrap up the multiverse pretty soon, which will be nice as well.
And check out they got the playlist function over on YouTube there. I've been grouping, these comics together, the multiverse comics together, the Filmation stuff together. So if you guys are just fans of one kind of genre of masters, check out those playlists. That way you can get a bunch of episodes that are more catered to your needs all at once. Like Sean said, issue 6 of Multiverse is coming out May 26th, and we are going to get together, we decided, in that we are going to do a live episode that night on YouTube. So time to be determined. We got to hash that out with the wives and the kids and see where we can lock them up for a little bit.
You also mentioned for that one, if we wanted to have anybody as a guest possibly jump in. I don't know if that was still an option, but I know originally when you posted it, you were like, "Hey, let us know." And so, is that something that's still possible?
Yeah, so we'll go live on YouTube, and so all you listeners there, you'll be able to join us live. There'll be a chat, live chat down below, and join us there. And you'll be able to ask us some questions. Let us know what we got wrong immediately, rather than sending me messages afterwards. And it should just be a fun time. We'll test it out. I upgraded my internet here. We've been doing a lot of stuff behind the scenes. We've done a couple trial runs on there. So we're just seeing if it's something that we might do a little more often. But we figured this would be a nice little capper to Multiverse. We'll review issue 6. You guys can join us live on YouTube that night. And I'll put a post up. Go ahead, head over to the Facebook group page. I'll put a post up there, and I can set the event on YouTube as well, so all our subscribers get notified once we set an official time. But look for it that week that the Multiverse comic comes out, May 26th. So.
All right.
Anything else, Shawnee?
No, I'm good. I get to go to work now. So.
Yeah, I get to go to sleep so I can go to work early in the morning. So with that, please like, share, subscribe, ring that bell so you get notified when we go live, because we're gonna do it. Go over and join our Facebook group page so that you can stay up to date on all the news, all the episodes, and you'll know about Masters of the Universe Uno as soon as it comes out. Check out Sean's art page. I got the link down below. Check out Vaults of Grayskull, because they're a great resource. They've been very helpful to us, and kind of looking at some of the stuff that might be a little harder to find or people don't have easy access to. And until next time.